Hey everyone, welcome back to another production meeting. What's going on, party people? How's
Man,
y'all's
it's
week
cold.
been?
It's cold in here, man. I've got no heat. It's 58 degrees in this room. It was 55 yesterday.
Now, can I ask you, are there any toros in your atmosphere?
Yeah, there's definitely toros in the atmosphere.
Oh, okay. I thought I sensed Kirsten Dunst somewhere.
We're going to have to bring it on, man. No, but
I don't get it.
Aside from the lack of heat in this place, everything's pretty chill.
Pretty chill.
Yeah.
I also don't get that.
That's all right. So, what did you guys watch this week? Anything neat besides our homework?
Cool.
I'm going to go last on this. Go ahead. I usually go first.
Ryan, what'd you watch this week, man?
Well, I'm still catching up a little bit on some 2020 movies, but I finally watched Greyhound with Tom Hanks. I don't remember if we talked about Greyhound or I missed that week.
We did.
You did.
Okay. Well, I definitely lament not watching it with you guys because I thought it was great. Some were really good and great, and I loved it. Definitely one of my better movies of the year, one of my favorite soundtracks of the year. So that's one I am going to regret never owning physically. I like physically owning it. It's Apple Plus, so I don't know if they're planning a release for it.
Right.
Yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah, that's all it was.
Yeah, which is a bummer. Watched the homework. Watched next week's homework. Started working ahead. You have the syllabus. No, I actually had somebody request that we watch and review Sound of Metal. So I will save that for next week.
Cool.
I watched Christmas Chronicles 2, which it's a little off. Hang on. Which I can save for the end if you guys want. It's not a long synopsis.
It's just give us the quick bullet points right now, man.
It's fine. It's not as good as the first one. I thought the first one was somewhere between fine and good. It's at least worth watching. This one's kind of meh. The scale's too big. There's not much character development to it, I thought. So kind of loses some of what makes the first one very good. It's okay.
Well, so what you're saying is there's more Goldie Hawn. There's
much more Goldie Hawn. That's not a problem. The problem is there's much more like, he's stealing Christmas and we have to save Christmas. And I'm like, I don't know. I never really buy where like saving Christmas is the main story and all the character development just falls to so much to the side that they've suddenly got to force their 2-hour runtime to compensate for the lack of actually emotionally investing story that's happening. So okay, I chuckled a couple times. It's a 5 out of 10. Then I watched this really great movie. Not great at all. It's terrible. Called Iron Mask with Jackie Chan and Arnold Schwarzenegger, which came out on. I don't know when this movie has actually come out because it's Russian and it's Chinese and it's English and American.
I'm assuming you rented it at the Redbox because I saw it at the Redbox too.
I did, yes, because I did not want to pay any more for it, and $1.80 was probably too much. But as terrible it is nuts, and I highly recommend it.
Oh, well then I know what I'm doing tomorrow. Then
no, it's really really bad, but it's also really really so all over the place that it's kind of so bad it's good. So if you maybe lower your expectations all the way, it's maybe fun, or if you raise them all the way, it's at least laughably bad. It's somewhere in there. And there's like 16 production studios that worked on this. So after you get through a solid 5 minutes of logos, you get maybe 20 minutes of Jackie Chan and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then just a ripoff of a bunch of other movies. So you can take a shot every time you recognize the movie that they've just stolen from.
Nice. Guys?
I'm down. That sounds good, man. Well, to keep it going on, you mentioned you watched Christmas Chronicle 2. I watched another film starring Santa called Fat Man.
That was on my list.
This film has Mel Gibson playing Mr. Kris Kringle, aka the Santa Claus, and I'm going to stop short of saying amazing, but it's definitely interesting. It's definitely fun and interesting, and I'd recommend it. And if that doesn't pique your interest, don't watch it. But whatever, it's going to be a holiday classic. I also watched The Rental, which is the directorial debut of Dave Franco.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I mentioned that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you rented it. What was the movie?
It's kind of a horror thriller about people who rent an Airbnb and then they start dying. It's an interesting premise. It didn't need to be a feature-length film. Like, it drags so much at the beginning, trying to set up like these character relationships, and I'm like, just get to the stuff we're here for, man. Just get to the killing, please. I don't need all this backstory. But yeah, it's and the sad thing is, it's only like 90 minutes. It's only 87. But I'm like, you could have done this in like 45. You could have knocked this out. It would have been fine. So yeah, that's it. If it had been shorter, it'd been good. So I'd give it probably like a 5 out of 10. I also watched with the little lady. We watched Holiday on Netflix. And that's your typical like rom-com. It actually was kind of funny and a little over the top, more so than your typical rom-com, I guess. So I would recommend that, actually. I don't think there's going to be a sequel, though. This is not going to be like Kissing Booth. There's just going to be one Holiday, I'm pretty sure.
Oh gosh, I forgot that existed.
I'm sure
and
some shows.
Trying to think. And the final thing that I really watched, and I also watched, and I guess we'll talk about it next week if we all do it. I also watched Sound of Metal too, just because I had read some good reviews for it online. So I knocked that out, and we'll talk about it next week. And I watched the movie that I was most disappointed in, and I don't know if Ryan has seen this yet, but Train to Busan presents Peninsula. And I am not good. Don't need to watch that again. I'm fine. Just give
Where
me the
did you
first
find
movie.
that?
It's at the Redbox, man.
Is it really?
Yeah, it was tucked away. I was like scrolling through, and it was on like the third page. I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute!" It's just way over the top dramatic, and there's like
now you know why.
And I was just so disappointed. There's zombies and whatnot, but the story just wasn't there the way it was, and the pacing wasn't the same. And it was just the cuts were just, there's so much slow motion and like over emotion for everything, and I'm just like,
Really?
oh my god. And like the just rawness from that first movie wasn't there, and I just was not a fan. Like I said, if it comes on streaming, I might throw it on again just to like try to like enjoy it, but I'm not gonna make it a point to go and do it right now. If anything, I'll just watch Train to Busan again. But yeah, it's at the Redbox if you want to watch it. And that is more or less it.
So for the rental, would you give him a curved grade for being his debut, or was that the curved grade?
Like as far as direction goes, there wasn't anything like glaring that was bad. I'm not sure. I don't think he wrote it, so I can't really speak to that. Just the movie itself, it just seemed too long. Now maybe that was him, but I mean the acting was fine. The edits were fine. It was easy to follow. It was just, I just thought it was too long for what it was.
Okay, that's
fair.
fair.
It wasn't spectacular either. I'm not like, oh my god, Dave Franco made the most awesome film. I can't wait to see his next one. No, he made a passable one. It's good.
Actually, he did.
I mean, he's dipping
wrote
his
this.
feet in the water. That's,
oh, did he?
Yeah.
If you can make a passable attempt at your first crack at directing, I call that successful. Yeah, sure, why not?
I mean, like I said, it was a good premise. It's a good story. It just, I don't think it needed to be that long. It's like when you watch, I forgot that movie that's on Shudder that came out for Halloween. It's like The Host or something. The Host? The Call? I don't know. It's basically one of those footage movies, but it's like a Zoom phone call, kind of like this. And they have a seance, and a ghost comes and kills everybody. Spoiler alert. But the movie's like 45 minutes, 50 minutes long. So it's pretty, I mean, it's the perfect time. And it's actually decent for what it is. So I would recommend that. I can't remember what the name of the movie is, but it's definitely on Shudder. I know that.
Cool.
Okay. So I did what? I finished Demon Slayer finally. That was really good. I put my review up on the page. I thought that was really, really good. Some of the episodes later on got a little filler. Not filler, like totally filler, but they had a filler sense to it. So, but other than those couple of episodes, a great series. I can't wait to see what happens next. And there's apparently a movie that happened in Japan that's supposed to get a release in the U.S. either summer or sometime later next year. So I'm really happy about that. So, I mean, I wish it was coming out sooner, but beggars can't be choosers. So I finished that. What else did I watch? I watched Casablanca, as probably a new segment that's being established. Alex watches a classic week, every week. I was texting you guys throughout, and I was like, this sucker is so boring, for the first 30 minutes. And then it kind of got past that little, all the funny accent guys, talking about who cares. And then the actual main meat of the story was presenting itself. And it actually was really, really good. I actually thought it was better than Citizen Kane, even though Citizen Kane, I was more familiar with. So I kind of knew the premise of that. I didn't really know much of the story other than, here's looking at you, kid, famous quote. So I did that. It was pretty good. I also, like Ryan, I did watch A Christmas Chronicles. I did not watch the second one. I watched the first one. And I mean, it's cute. It's cliche ridden. It's a fun little ride. Kurt Russell's great as Santa. He's the standout person, just like in all of his works. He's the real reason why you want to watch this movie. Otherwise, it's just kind of like, I'm good. So if you're kind of stuck on something new that you need to watch, I would recommend that. It's a fun little trip. So now, but of course I have to watch the second one, and now thanks to Ryan, I'm not looking forward to it as much.
You don't have to watch the second one.
I mean, for completionist's sake, yes I did. Well, we'll see what happens.
Well, Kurt Russell would want you to watch the second one, Alex.
Out of respect to Kurt Russell,
Hawn.
I will. Yeah, so I'll end up seeing it at some point. But what else did I do? I finished Miles Morales. That took really quick after our last video. So now I'm just doing the mission to get the platinum. So working on that, playing a little bit of Switch. I've been replaying Mario Galaxy, which, man, that game is like 13 years old now, and I feel older now, and I'm like, this game is still really great. Having a Switch is fun. So what did I do else? I feel like I'm missing something else that I watched. Nope, that's it. But I did get a notification as this video is starting that my Cyberpunk Collector's Edition has been shipped today, just in time for the launch to be tomorrow, and I'll get it next week. Thanks, GameStop.
Yeah,
you might get it. You might get it by Sunday, man.
There you go.
Yeah, I ran just to make a point, like, not to get off topic. We'll get to Clint's, what he did this week. But yeah, GameStop is like, I love GameStop. The GameStop I go to is super cool. Chill guys. It's like I'm talking to you guys. But when it comes to the online orders, it just is like, come on, can you ever ship it like a few days beforehand so I get it on that date, not 3 days to 5 days afterwards? It's so annoying. Even though I'm still playing Spider-Man, I'd like to have my hands on Cyberpunk to at least put in, because this is going to take me like 200 hours to complete. I'd imagine that the download size is going to be pretty lengthy, so I'd like to go ahead and just shove that bad boy in the system and get that over with.
They gotta send out that 40 gigabyte patch that's going to come out with the game.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe that's why it's taking so long, because this is one box. That's the first half of the game. Here's the second half. We'll send it to you in a week. So, but that's what I've done today.
All right. Well, while you guys are doing that, I finished up Lovecraft Country on recommendation on Ryan. I actually quite enjoyed it. I will admit that, like, the first 3 episodes kind of like burn through a season worth of information, and then you go through episode 4 to 8, and they all felt different. Like every one of them had like a different story. Like it almost felt like an anthology like episode, like almost like Twilight Zone. Like every other episode was like different from the other one. But they always dropped like a little bit of hint of like what the grand story was. But episodes like 8, 9, and 10 kind of wrapped up the story really well. I thought it did really well. I'm not really sure how they're going to pull a second season out of this, but who knows. I'm also finishing up his Dark Materials, which is actually a really good HBO show, Golden Compass type of thing. I started it way back in May and got like first three episodes, and now I'm kind of like finishing it up. It's really good. It's kind of dark fantasy, steampunkish. It's completely different from the movie. This one's a lot darker and a lot more melodramatic. But I love Ruth Wilson. Like, she plays the villain in this, Mrs. Coulter, and she just has that look of like a villain. She's from like Luther and like different other British shows. But she looks nuts. So, and I played more Ghost of Tsushima. I'm almost done. Like I think I have like a couple more missions to go through.
So I'm curious, before you get to the end, what is your rating for it so far?
Right now, I'd say an 8. Like an 8.
Okay.
The only thing that frustrates me is that there is a lot of missions that you're like following footprints. Like every other mission is like, these guys ran off this way, so we got to follow the footprints. Okay. You're
like, who leaves footprints that deep for you to follow?
Right. Yeah. But that's my only frustration with it is like literally every other episode is like, they took my whatever and they went this way and see the footprints. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's exactly why it got like, not a perfect 10 out of 10 and it got a 9 for me. 'Cause it just gets repetitive with that and other types of missions. Yeah. So that's the very key, nitpicky complaint that is legit from that game. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, there was just like some of the missions just became like the same thing, and there was so many of them. So, other than that, I wrote on here that I finished Sim of Samurai, but I did not. So,
you're like, I'm
that's my
definitely
wish list.
Done.
Yeah, that's my list. So, are we ready for the news, guys? There's a few things. Oh, Ryan, what's up?
I had one more thing that I watched this week, and I want to bring it up because I mean, I think I'm probably the only one, but I want to know if anybody reading this wants to pitch in or watching this. So I just rewatched season 1 of Fargo. I loved it as much as I did the first 2 times. I rewatched season 2. I liked it a lot. I rewatched season 3, and I liked it even more. And I watched the first episode of season 4, and I was done.
Wow.
So I don't know if you guys have been watching Fargo at all, or if anybody, but like, I hope I'm not the only one feeling this way. So if anybody else, is like, oh, Fargo gets great, please let me know if I should keep going or not.
I don't think we really have an opinion. What turned you off initially for season 4?
Oh, it's so boring. It doesn't get to the title until maybe 20 minutes in, and it's just 20 minutes of exposition. Nothing after that happens. The inciting incident is a kid who accidentally shoots someone with a BB gun. Chris Rock is a terrible casting choice, and nothing happens. In fact, all the performances seem really bad comparatively. Jason Schwartzman's not interesting at all. You got Ben Whishaw, who has maybe a line of dialogue, and the only interesting character in the film is I can't remember the actress's name. She was in I'm Thinking of Ending Things. She seems great. Interesting character, and this seems to be kind of one interesting character throughout. But starting your show with hooking you with an interesting character isn't what's made the other 3 seasons great. They just get there halfway, where we're like, hey, we've got all this plot going on, let's wrap it up and have this one thing that's going wrong throughout that kind of brings it all back and unravels everything. And this is like, oh, some characters and the one interesting thing, stay tuned. And I'm like, no thanks. Maybe it's Chris Rock. I don't think.
It's definitely Chris Rock.
It might be Chris Rock.
It's Chris Rock.
He is not selling it.
I don't hate the guy. I mean, I don't. It's just when he's in anything, as far as like an acting, as far as drama or anything, it's always, that's all it is. It's Chris Rock. That's his voice. It stands out, and you can't help but go, oh man, that's Chris Rock's voice.
Yeah.
It's everyone hates Chris, or I'm sorry, everybody hates Chris. That's all it is. And it doesn't blend in to anything. It just hits you right in the face.
Yeah.
Ryan reminded me of, did we review I'm Thinking of Ending Things? I don't remember if we did.
I did.
It was a
I did not
suggestion.
like it.
Yeah, because I was like, that title sounds familiar, and I was like, I feel like we did, but I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't.
We definitely talked about it. I think I watched the first. I didn't never finish it. I watched like the first 15 minutes of it.
You watched the best part.
Yeah, that's what I just couldn't get into it, and I was just like, you know what? I don't have the stamina right now. Maybe I'll come back to it later. Spoiler alert, I didn't.
It's a Picasso painting.
Yeah, I know that it was up for a suggestion one week, and I think I don't know what was coming out that same week, but I know it was a suggestion for something. But I've heard that it's even more Charlie Kaufman than normal Charlie Kaufman. So if that says anything, I know Matt and Ryan will probably understand what I'm saying, but like it's a little bit more out there than like he normally does. So, but yeah, I haven't gotten around to it either. All right. Anything else, guys? Sweet. News time. So I'm going to save some of the bigger news because there's a few big things that came out this week for the end. So first off, Michelle Pfeiffer is coming back for Ant-Man 3. Yay.
I thought you said you were going to leave the big news for at the end. I'm just kidding.
Michelle Pfeiffer, yay!
She's going to be in a movie. She's got a job, yay!
Because she was in, 10 minutes of Ant-Man and the Wasp?
I was going to say, that's, gosh, who was in Space Force that we all...
Lisa Kudrow.
Lisa Kudrow, thank you. Yeah, she's just... what? Who cares?
I thought you were going to tell me she was coming back to play Catwoman in Justice League.
That'd be cool.
That'd be way more headline worthy.
Yeah, it probably would be.
No, I think Ant-Man... I hated Ant-Man too. That's probably my least favorite MCU movie. I couldn't care less.
Wow.
I just got my 4K copy in the mail today of Ant-Man.
Sorry about that, Ryan.
It was free with Disney points.
Yeah, Paul Rudd does a good job. I mean, he's entertaining in the movie, but the last act of that movie is one hot mess, like a steaming hot mess. So,
yeah, because that movie
it's the worst though.
No, I wouldn't say it was the worst, but I would say that last half, it was just kind of like, who's our villain, really? Like, who's really
Ant-Man.
our villain?
the speed bump to Infinity War. Or to Endgame. Sorry. Wait, which one did it come before? I don't remember.
Yeah, you're right. Endgame.
Yeah, Endgame.
Right. Well,
so
she's coming
crappy.
back as Janet Van Dyne. So, what are you going to do? Also, 7 new Kingsman films are being developed. Yeah,
I can't tell, Ryan. Is that a good one of these, or is that a what one of these?
I miss when it was like, we're getting a sequel. Now it's like, we're going to get 7. Well, one's going to be bad, and then we're going to lose the others. So,
yeah.
They're just doing it just because they're like, oh, we'll make a good one eventually.
Yeah.
It'll happen again. We just give it 7 tries, man.
Yeah. Who is greenlighting all these projects, and why didn't they learn the lesson from Star Wars, where they were like, you get a trilogy, you get a trilogy, you get a trilogy. We're scrapping everything. And I'm like, maybe don't announce that stuff until you start.
Trilogy, smilogy. We're doing 7 films, buddy.
We're doing 2.5 or 2 1/3.
So yeah, I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it.
Which is ironic because this is 20th Century Fox, which is now Disney.
That's who it is. It's Disney. Some exec at Disney is just pressing a button, greenlighting things. His job is to sit there and press a button.
I don't see this happening at all. There was some charm. There was a lot of charm to that first Kingsman. There was no charm to the second one.
I didn't even see the second one.
So I don't see how Disney would want to spin this off into like a 7-movie additional movie franchise. It just doesn't make sense to me unless they have grander plans, or somebody does. But I just don't see this happening.
Well, I also think that they must know something about this third one that's coming up that we don't know. The Kingsman.
Kingsman 3: The Search for More Money.
Well, no, it's the prequel, I guess, that's supposed to start the Kingsmen.
We're just gonna get
in World
Oh
War
yeah,
I or
that's it.
something.
That is what it
We'll get
is.
like one just every war.
Yeah, man,
Yeah,
they're
right.
gonna introduce the multiverse in this new one. So they're gonna
Now,
have
is-
different.
Is the Kingsman part of those 7?
I
Is
don't
that the
think
first
so.
of those 7? Okay, I didn't think
I don't
so.
know.
Because I'm actually looking forward to that, because I like Ralph Fiennes. He's pretty good, no issue there. So yeah, but I agree with the rest of you. It's like, can we just walk before we run, please?
I don't know. All right. Well, moving on. Oscar Isaac is cast as Solid Snake in the Metal Gear Solid film. Yeah. See.
Everyone likes Oscar Isaac. No one hates Oscar Isaac. He'll do a great job.
So is that the one from Smash Bros?
Yes.
I know things.
No, see, that's Oscar Isaac, awesome. I think this is a miscast. That's a weird. I just don't think he's. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll totally like blow us out of the water and be like, "I'm the best that there ever was."
To be fair, Alex, do you think every video game casting is a miscast?
Yeah, I'm like Ryan when it comes to video game adaptation of movies. I get overly critical.
They just need to cast the voice actor for this. So
It's just because I care about it.
all right. Well, Neil Blomkamp has written and directed a new horror film that's supposed to be coming out. Awesome. He's pretty good director. Wasn't he supposed to take over the Alien franchise a little while ago?
I feel like his name was tossed around for that.
I know, Ryan and I. All right, everybody shrug all at the same time.
Alien franchise, is that still a thing?
It should.
According to Marvel.
No,
So-
it shouldn't be.
Well,
Not
okay.
anymore.
In all fairness, Alex, do you know who Neil Blomkamp is?
The name rings a bell, but I'm going to say no.
Okay, so he directed District 9 and Elysium.
And Chappie.
I think.
Chappie. That's right.
No, Chappie. Chappie was the one that I knew. Yeah, I knew that name from that.
So a few years ago, he had concept art and everything that he was going to redo the Alien franchise, and it was supposed to bring back Weaver and Michael Biehn and like that cast. Like it was supposed to take place. It was supposed to scrap like 3 and 4, I think.
I think all that stuff got scuttled, man. I don't think it's gonna happen, or it's not happening anymore.
It's not happening anymore. But he's a good director, and like he has this weird, District 9 was a really good kind of like alien movie. So I'm kind of excited. He's done some good stuff.
This brings to mind our famous segment that we haven't really mentioned in quite a while. The phrase "Why do we need this?" kind of comes to mind.
He's a
Are you
good
saying, why
director.
do we need the potential alien movies that aren't happening?
That's what I mean.
We're not getting them.
Yeah, like, why do you need to revive this?
Look, I mean, unpopular opinion, I'm content with the first Alien.
I like all of
Yeah.
them. All of them. Except for all of them. I like all of them. Even the Alien versus Predator movies. Give them to me now.
Well, I don't like the one that looks like this the whole time.
Is that one Fincher's?
Freaking Requiem.
Wow.
Alien versus Predator Requiem. The whole movie just looks like this, and occasionally you can see something happening. I've watched this movie twice. And the first time I couldn't make it through it. And the second time I physically got up and went to my television and turned up the brightness to the point where the screen was like pink. So I could physically tell what the heck was happening.
I don't know if I've had that problem, man. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that to see if I
Watch it in the daylight.
Okay.
Watch it at night. It's just as hard to see.
Wow.
Freaking
Maybe you
worst
just
lit
went to
movie.
sleep because you thought it was boring.
That's also true. I probably did. Some things happen. There's a swimming pool. A kid dies, and there's a big predator alien hybrid thing. And I love Alien. Why did we get to freaking? Can we move on?
I'm on Team Ryan here. Yeah.
I even don't dislike Prometheus and Covenant, but if I could scrap everything, I would also scrap those.
Yeah.
I like Prometheus and Covenant, definitely. And I like the first 4 movies. I was joking about the Alien versus Predator stuff. I'm good without those, but just the straight Alien movies, I'm good with. I like those.
Yeah, I think that if Alien versus Predator had like a real director, a real script that wasn't PG'd, I think it would probably be a way better movie where we don't have this hybrid for some weird reason. But to your point, Alex, why do we need this? We don't, because it's not happening. But the Neil Blomkamp, like the new horror film that he's directed, I'm kind of excited for because he's done better work in the past.
I totally got lost in what was being discussed. So
He's like, why is there going to be another Alien movie? We never said there was going to be an Alien movie, Alex.
well, good.
I probably shouldn't
Don't
have brought it up. So
Yeah,
Is there any
rabbit hole?
So do we
just flying off the handle?
do we know any of the title or information, or just that he's made one?
he's made one.
Oh,
It's called This Is Not Alien.
Can it be a Can it be a Cloverfield movie if we don't know anything about it?
Oh, probably.
The last movie was like, J.J. Abrams made a horror movie, and we were like, okay.
Yeah, it's
Like
called
month-
Star Wars.
That was rude.
Alex, that was great.
John Boyega is going to be upset with you.
right. Is he though? Is he gonna be upset? He's gonna be like, I told you guys, I feel the same way.
I told Disney the same thing. Okay. So last bit of news before we get to 2 big news. Florence Pugh is appearing in the Hawkeye series. So this is kind of confirming that she's probably the new Black Widow. So I'm kind of down with this, even though the movie hasn't come out yet, but I'm pretty down with this. Because RIP ScarJo. So
Get her out of there. No one likes ScarJo. We need a better Black Widow. And Florence, is it Pugh or Pa or
Pugh, I thought it was.
Pugh, yeah.
Pugh?
I thought it was Pugh. Yeah.
She's good. She was
She's
fine
good.
in Little. She was fine in Little Women, and she was fine in Midsummer.
Fine. Oscar nominated.
Oh, is she really?
Yeah.
Okay. She was good in that Scottish movie too that was on Netflix. What was it, The Outlaw King?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Have you guys
She's
seen
really
Lady
good in that.
Macbeth?
No, I want to see that though.
It's pretty good.
I'd really, yeah. So, cool beans for Florence Pugh coming to the Hawkeye series. Cool. All right, so going along with the Marvel news, apparently there has been some Spider-Man 3 casting news, and a whole bunch of it in the last couple days. Some of this hasn't been confirmed. Some of this has. So the stuff that has been confirmed is that Alfred Molina is coming back as Dr. Octopus, which was amazing. I think that he's one of the better villains that they brought into the Spider-Man universe, cinematic universe anyway, because he was like a sympathetic villain. Like he wasn't like world dominating, I'm going to kill everyone. Like he just wanted his stuff. And so I kind of like enjoyed him as Dr. Octopus. Andrew Garfield has been confirmed as coming back as one of the Peter Parkers that is coming. We'll get to you, Ryan.
Only if he trains in a empty warehouse full of chains.
Apparently, Kirsten Dunst has been confirmed as coming back as Mary Jane. And they're in talks with Tobey Maguire to come back as his Peter Parker.
Well, I'm just glad they got all these people to clear their very busy schedules.
No, it's funny you say that because I watched a recent video about 10 minutes long about, why isn't anybody or where is Tobey Maguire gone? And I'm like, he's there. He's not acting. He's producing some stuff. But to your point, yeah, he's just kind of chilling. I'll produce this. What is this?
I don't feel like I've seen Alfred Molina in anything in like 10 years.
He's the voice of Mr. Freeze.
I want to say I have.
Show.
Okay. So he does voice work now.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen Kirsten Dunst. I feel like I saw her in something.
I just saw her in Fargo.
There you go.
Yeah. It was second season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The only thing that comes to mind, and it was several years ago, was when it was Paul Bettany and her in Wimbledon, I believe was the movie. God, but that was a while ago.
Don't do it, Ryan.
It's sitting here.
Do you have it?
Yeah. I haven't watched it yet.
It's pretty good. She was in a Showtime show called like The Queen of Central Florida, or How to Become the Queen. It's something like that. Something Central Florida. And she was in Hidden Figures.
Oh, yeah.
Something else very recently, too. She was in a movie very recently. I can't remember the name of the movie now. Yeah. The only cast member, like lead cast member that has not been confirmed is Tobey Maguire and Emma Stone. Apparently they're trying to get Emma Stone back as Gwen Stacy.
Is this also the same Spider-Man that Charlie Cox is rumored to be coming back for?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. So Daredevil is coming back as well.
Is that confirmed or is
that's not confirmed?
Okay.
It's not confirmed?
No.
Oh, I thought I read that it was. Okay. Thank you.
I'm pretty sure it's not.
I think that, again, I'm not familiar with the Daredevil show, but I'm like that sounds cool. But at the same time, I'm like, does that even make sense? I mean, I guess they'll make it make sense, but I'm just like, this just seems like it's going to be a little too jumbled. But, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to start off the next, or at least not the very beginning of the next phase of the MCU, but at least the beginning-ish part of the next phase with a bang by having all these people in there and multiverse and Spider-Mans and villains from 15 years ago.
I'm just, I feel what you're saying. I just, you have to go in that mindset like it worked for Into the Spider-Verse. So hopefully it could work for a live action adaptation. Hopefully.
I mean, I'm going to see it. It's just, I love Molina. And I just, I want him to be in it. It's just, I wish I had like a snippet of kind of how he's going to be used. Like because they don't want him to look exactly the same, or maybe they do. I don't know. I just kind of want to get an image so I can mentally digest that and just kind of get an opinion. It's a good idea, but I have my reservations about it. But I'm I'm more leaning to it than not.
Like a mental image of what?
Like him, like in a still, like what he'll look like in the movie. Just is he actually going to have like? And I mean, my knee-jerk reaction was, didn't he die?
Who?
No, not in real life. I mean, in the movie, Molina, Dr. Octopus.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like,
see,
go ahead.
The thing about this one is that you have to remember this is actually supposed to come after Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. So I'm willing to bet that it's because as all of MCU movies are now, they're all connected. So the thing is that WandaVision is supposed to kick this off somehow. And WandaVision is supposed to lead into Doctor Strange 2, which then leads into Spider-Man 3. And I think that one leads into, of course, bigger Avengers movies and stuff like that. So I think the thread is going to reportedly the thread is supposed to start with WandaVision, and whatever happens in that show is supposed to then lead into Doctor Strange 2, which then is supposed to lead into the multiverse thing. And so that's probably why they're taking cues from Into the Spider-Verse, is that they're starting to pull from the multiverse and like all these actors and characters and stuff.
I'm getting that meme of, who is it, Charlie Day? And, you know, he's going like this and he's got the whole connecting thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I am ecstatic that they're bringing, I hope that is the MCU Daredevil that they're bringing Charlie Cox back for. Obviously the other characters that are being pulled from the other Spider-Man movies are probably going to be their versions of him. Except I don't think, didn't Jamie Foxx say that he wasn't going to be blue this time? I thought I read somewhere that he wasn't going to be blue this time. So wherever they pull them from, I'm sure that it's going to be whatever versions they are of that character.
Man, if all this is true, if all that comes together, which it seems like it is, and they finally get it made, that's going to be a big movie. Like a fairly big movie.
Right.
When's it? Do they have a tentative release that they're aiming for? I'm assuming 2022.
Yeah.
Probably like March. No, that's probably May.
This is next year. This is next December.
Oh, okay.
So like a year from now?
Yeah. This is like next December.
Okay. I mean, well, if they get it, that gives them 12 months. I mean, that's really doable.
Yeah, but when is Doctor Strange supposed to come out? Because I thought that was what's supposed to like kick it. So Doctor Strange is March 25th, 2022. But see, Doctor Strange is supposed to be a part of this cast too.
I feel like does it say 12/31? Or did it say like a different date? Because sometimes Google defaults if it doesn't know.
Yeah, that placeholder date.
Well, I pulled that date from comicbook.com. They said that Spider-Man 3 was supposed to be December of 2021. So let me double check.
I'm just like, all right, at this point, just bring it on. Add whoever you want. Put Wesley Snipes in there to be Blade. Come on, let's just do it.
I just want to see the conversation when if they get Tobey Maguire in there, where they all talk about their web shooters, and just be like, "Wait, you guys have web shooters?"
He goes, yeah, right. yours doesn't come out of your skin. See, that's a funny thing you mentioned that. I think it's because I grew up having Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. That just seemed normal to me. But then, as I learned that the comic books go against that, and he's got the little gadget ones, I'm like, okay, look, it's still not that weird to me, but it is like a little like that is weird.
Well, IMDb says the 17th of December. So.
Well, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. That's ambitious, to say the least. So yeah, they have a year to get this rolling. So, I mean, do you guys think that, like, do you think they're going to be cameo roles? Do you think they're going to have some sort of integral part in this? I think the female leads are going to have like some sort of cameo, if anything.
I think it could go either way. The fact that they haven't shored up or announced everybody just easily, it kind of makes me think that they're going to be more integral than anything else. I mean, there could be a scene where he's going like fast forwarding or flipping through multi-universes and just randomly see or run into these characters very quickly.
I agree. That's what I think will happen.
But you never know. I mean, like I said, we don't have confirmation on all of them, all the OGs just yet. So who knows?
You guys have any other thoughts?
Nah.
Ryan?
When is speaking of Marvel, when does the Eternals come out? When's that supposed to come out?
Oh, good question.
Next November.
Okay. Dang. Gotta check all these Marvel movies, man. Trying to find the next one to come out. Obviously, it's Black Widow, whenever that is.
That doesn't sound right. This says February 12th of next year.
I thought that it was soon, but I don't think they pushed it back yet.
IMDb says November 5th, so I'm going to go with the IMDb. So yeah, that's what I thought. I thought everything shifted back to what it was normally just a year later. Does that make sense? Because I know that Black Widow was supposed to be out in May of this year, and then they pushed it to November, and then they pushed it again back to another May of next year. So everything shifted back to like its month, just a different year. Okay. Ryan, you sure you don't have any thoughts on this? Shaking your head.
I miss not knowing stuff. Do you guys remember when like Captain America showed up in Thor and we were like, oh, what a fun cameo. Now it'd be like 2 years ahead. It'd be like Steve Rogers is confirmed for Thor: The Dark World. And we'd be like, oh, let's speculate. And I'm like, oh, he's going to be there for 5 seconds. Who cares? Now it's like, here's all the Batmans and here's all the Spider-Man and here's everybody that's going to be in Mandalorian. And I just want to go into something blind. And I guess talking with you guys about this weekly doesn't help.
Justin, Ryan is no longer be a part of the show, guys.
But this is, I mean, I don't know. I'm just...
Ryan, we completely feel you, man. We all feel the same way. It's disheartening talking about this.
Qui-Gon's funeral, man. Yeah. Qui-Gon's funeral.
Have I told you that story, Ryan? Have I told you that story?
It's like the best story.
Movie hadn't even come out yet, and you're going to put Qui-Gon's funeral as a track listing on the CD. Come on, man. It's some BS.
I love that.
Spoiler alert, Qui-Gon dies.
What?
I know. See, that's the studio and everybody them trolling you. Like that's when the internet was in its like infancy. Like it wasn't even really.
Well, the thing
yet.
is, they even they promoted the crap out of the Duel of the Fates. It was on MTV. They had a music video on MTV. Yeah. And they're like, you need to go buy this. So what do? Go buy this. You know, the week before the movie comes out, because that's when it was released. Not after the movie comes out, because that would make sense. A week before, because they're trying to make money. Why would they name it that? Why?
Funeral for a friend. All right. Spider-Man 3 is done. Next up, and last but not least, apparently Warner Brothers is going to release all of their movies in theaters and on HBO Max the exact same day. This is 17 movies. Apparently that's going to come out in 2021. This is only a year for this. The titles include, Dune, Suicide Squad, Godzilla versus Kong, another few other big movies that are coming out next year. What do you guys think?
You forgot the most important part. HBO announces this, and Christopher Nolan loses his ish.
Oh, he does. I was gonna get to that, but yeah.
Well, and Legendary Pictures is trying to sue over at least like Dune.
Yeah. Wasn't it also?
Dune and Kong, I think.
I also heard that, and I'm not sure if this is accurate, but these movies, when they come out, they're only going to be available on HBO Max for like 30 days after their release
1 month.
date.
Yeah, 1 month.
Which I think it's super clever. I mean, that's actually really amazing for them to think of doing that, because that means everyone has to keep renewing their subscriptions to see those new movies as they come out. And they're also getting rid of their free trial too. I'm not sure if they've done that already, but they're doing that, I think, at the end of the year. So you can't get a free week of free movies. You have to pay for it, which also means they're probably upping their price too.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Netflix is increasing their price.
$13.99.
That may or Oh, okay. I thought it was actually like $15.99.
I'm pretty sure it's I'm not sure. I don't pay for it here. Jeannie does, but every time we load,
I don't either.
Every time we load it up on the Roku, there's a reminder that it's going up in price, and I'm pretty sure it says $13.99.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was wondering if it had anything to do with this HBO business. I was like,
no.
I think that just is a coincidence.
No, they'd announced that price increase a couple months ago.
Well, yeah.
This.
Oh, see, this is the first I'm hearing.
They gotta create a budget for Cuties 2 somehow.
Don't be on that list, man. Don't be on
Is
that
that
list.
still on there? Did they ever pull that, or is that still on the service?
I
Do
think
you want me
that's
to look it
on
up?
there.
I don't want to look it
No,
up.
you'll be on a list.
No, don't look it up. Okay.
Where
Getting
to
back
find
to topic.
keys?
Yeah, getting back to topic. So just to run through these movies real quick, the 17 that are coming out, The Little Things, Judas and the Black Messiah, Tom and Jerry, Godzilla vs. Kong, Mortal Kombat, Those Who Wish Me Dead, The Conjuring, In the Heights, Space Jam, Suicide Squad, some reminiscence, Malignant, Dune, The Many Saints of Newark, King Richard, Cry Macho, I don't know what that is, and Matrix 4. So those are all the movies that are going to come out for HBO. They're going to drop on the same day that they're going to come into the theaters, and they will only be on there for a month. And as Matt said, Nolan lost his crap. Like, he lost his mind. Basically saying that HBO or Warner Brothers was the worst streaming service, and he can't believe that they're doing this. And literally goes on and just says that this was a film, like a creative comfort zone or something along those lines. Like Warner Brothers was the best studio to work for, and that they just basically screwed off all over these people. Going along with this, I heard that actually Warner Brothers paid Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins like $10 million for Wonder Woman. So I'm wondering if they're going to kind of do the same thing with any of these other movies.
I mean, I'm sure they will. I mean, I feel like their big stars have to be compensated, and their big directors in some form.
Right.
But I think with Nolan, and I could be wrong, but I know he was criticizing HBO as being one of the worst streaming services ever, or at least currently. But because I don't believe they actually stream in 4K yet. Most of these other services do. Netflix does, I think, and Hulu does, and I think even Amazon might too. But HBO doesn't, and I think that might be what one of his problems is because if they're releasing these movies out there, he's like, he's that guy who wants everything to be perfect as far as presentation, except his sound. And
yeah, really.
What?
So I think that's another thing. But as far as this announcement goes, from what I've heard, it was a surprise to most everybody. Like, this was not talked about through a lot of the people that made these films or even produced these films. This was just Warner Brothers and HBO's decision. They made it, and then they just let it go. And I think that's kind of improper. Like, I don't feel like they should have made that decision like that. You do it on a movie by movie basis. And maybe it was something that HBO said. They're like, hey, if we're doing this, we want a long-term thing so we can push this and get our subscribers up, because we're going to have to pay so and so money. Probably, like you said, to the stars and the producers and the directors of these films, they have to get their cut. So I think that's it. But it's just rude, and it's not professional, I don't think, for them to actually announce the whole year. They should have done it movie by movie basis, or be like, hey guys, we're planning on doing this. We'll tell you what movies are going to do it as they get greenlit, or as we approved all of them. So
yeah, like I could see, you mentioned Space Jam. Like, I could see that easily being one that should go immediately to streaming. And Tom and Jerry, sure. Yeah, but like Dune, Matrix 4, what else am I missing?
Well, Godzilla versus
Kong. That was the other one I was trying to think of.
What was the other list? Suicide Squad. Looking at this, like, there's a few of them that they probably could just drop to like streaming. Like The Many Saints of Newark it's a prequel to The Sopranos. A couple of these horror movies probably could just drop. Maybe even In the Heights. That's
In the Heights.
To me. That to me is like right on the border. Like, maybe I'd go see it in the theaters. Maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. But to play devil's advocate, no, it probably wasn't very professional. But thinking ahead, like, you just probably saved yourself. Like, do we release it? Do we not release it? The streaming? Do we not release it in theaters? Da, da, da. And I kind of understand, like, trying to put this out like the full year just to kind of like cover your ass, and just making sure that you're not like doing this the whole time.
No, you're absolutely right. And that also, doing that also makes Netflix and Hulu and all those other streaming services go, oh God, we've got to do something. What are we going to do? So it puts them against the ropes too. But I think, Ryan, you mentioned too that you've got studios like Legendary who are like, hold up, we didn't agree to this. And they're going to fight tooth and nail until they get, appeased or some type of compromise for it.
Right.
We'll see if that happens. But, we forget too that they're not just releasing these on HBO Max, I don't believe. They're also coming out in theaters as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're going the same day.
So it's not like you can't see these in theaters. It's more like it's making it available, for those people that don't want to go to the theater. And I mean, if you don't want to go to the theater, just be happy that the movie's going to be streaming. I'm sorry that you're not going to be able to see, you don't want to go to the theater to see Dune, but maybe you can later when it's safer to go. Maybe they'll put it out then. But now you can watch it at home and you don't have to worry about, getting sick or feeling like you can't go out. So, I mean, you pick your battles when it comes to that and just be appreciative of it. I really, like I mentioned before, I'm a huge fan that they made these like 30-day windows. I think that's a great idea just for them. And I think it's going to work out. And I understand the whole big screen thing. But like I said, as long as they put them in theaters too, I don't really have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Are these just regular like streaming things, or are they available with a premium?
No, this is no upcharge.
Regular streaming? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't introduced.
Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, I don't think they've introduced anything, and I don't think their UI is capable of that right now anyway. So who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if they adapted it to sometime. I don't think they've said one way or another. Like they haven't promised that they wouldn't do that. I don't believe.
I don't think that they promised that they wouldn't do it, but I know that they've said that it was no upcharge. It was like some official statement from the CEO that said that there's going to be no upcharge for these, that it's going to release in the same day. And I mean, and like you said, man, to like kind of like piggyback on what you said, by the time that Dune comes out, it may be way more safe for us to go out to like the theaters and everything. So it's really not going to matter because Dune is releasing November or December of next year, October, something like that. Like even Suicide Squad's coming out in August. That's a whole 8 months down the road. So, I mean, it may not be like COVID may not be gone, but maybe it's going to be a little bit more safe for everybody to go out. So it's probably going to be a moot point by then. I mean, like you asked me, Alex, like some of these movies, no, I probably wouldn't pay to go see these, like some of these in the theaters. Tom and Jerry, no, I'm not going to fucking pay to see. Sorry, I'm not going to pay to see Tom and Jerry in the theaters. I'd throw it on HBO Max and let Quinn watch it for the first 30 months if she makes it through. But like Dune, Matrix, yeah, some of these things I probably would risk to go out into the theaters if the theaters are open to go see these. And there's just those type of people like Ryan.
That's true. But you saying the other hand that we really haven't talked about is how this affects, those theaters that are open, especially when things are safer to go out. And HBO is still releasing those in those 30-day windows. How that's going to affect their bottom line, which is going to be hugely important, especially with the amount of people that are allowed to come out to see movies. If they have that content to watch at home, they'll obviously are going to be more likely to stay at home. And what these studios are going to do to appease these theaters, if anything, so that they have good relationships going forward after this. So
yeah. I mean, because like Universal tried to do this in the beginning of this year too. Remember, they tried to put it on premium on demand, and like again, the CEO of AMC like lost his crap. So.
Well, I think he said, I don't know what his comment, but he's made a comment, or they've started talking to Warner Brothers regarding this too, to try to get some type of compensation for that. And I mean, it seems like AMC's been, they're the biggest chain in the US. So they're talking it out. They're the ones at the front lines doing this, but it's like the smaller ones, the ones that trickle down that it's really going to affect. And, we won't know what that effect will be until like next summer, like May or June. Right. So who knows?
Well, let's just hope that, I don't know if you're for this or against this. I mean, let's just find out what Disney does with their slate next year too.
True that.
Because I know that they have some sort of meeting or some presentation tomorrow, Thursday the 10th, about their slate of stuff that's coming up next year. So some of this news may be in there too. All right. Any other thoughts on this? And that is the news, my friends. And you know what that means. It's Mando time. Ta-da! Mando time. Okay, so this week was chapter 14?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, because there's 2 more.
Yeah.
11, 12,
Yeah, so chapter 14, the tragedy. And Mando has to take Grogu. I'm just going to have to live with it, fellas. They're going to take Grogu to Tython to the Jedi Temple. The Jedi Temple to the Seeing Stone and see if he works out with the Force. They land and things happen. Characters reemerge. I kind of this was the worst episode for me for some reason. I just didn't like this episode. I kind of enjoyed spoilers. I mean, if you haven't seen the episode yet, so we're gonna go full spoilers for this. Boba Fett comes back. Spoilers. So Boba comes back and helps out Mando, which, by the way, this is why this episode bothered me. He wanted his armor so bad. He wanted his armor back really badly, and it was kind of nice, the whole episode. It just didn't seem like the hardened bounty hunter that we've all come to know Boba to be. And he was like, "Since you gave me my armor back, I'll be your best friend. Thank you for helping me out, and I'm going to help you out." And so he blasts some stormtroopers and stuff, and he's like, "We're going to finish this." Okay. It just seemed kind of weird to me. Am I the only one?
He's been through.
Yeah, same.
I didn't really feel that. I feel like he's been through a lot these past few years. He's obviously probably been eaten and regurgitated. So he's got some stuff going on. He might have found Jesus. He might have done something. We don't know. It didn't bother me. What bothered me is the fact that he didn't try to get the armor beforehand. Why is he trying to get it now?
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan.
So I have a lot of thoughts, and they're all going to be really nerdy. So I'm going to try to get a couple thoughts in about the episode too. But so right now, Star Wars Canon's been doing a lot of work in a lot of the expanded stuff by painting a picture of Boba Fett before the events of bringing him back, kind of as the character we expect him to be, which is this really kind of cruel bounty hunter, who obviously is totally fine with the Empire. And they were kind of holding off a lot because we can keep it as a big reveal for Mandalorian. What I've seen from this season a lot, and it's something I really started loving in this episode, is that the creators of Mandalorian are just bringing the stuff that Disney threw away back to life. We're getting Boba Fett back, and we're getting Dark Troopers, and we're getting the post-Empire, and we're getting a lot of different things. And one of my favorite things I'm never a huge fan of bringing characters back. But one of my favorite things in the original expanded universe was that Boba Fett comes back, and he's like, well, my life kind of sucks because I'm alive and I'm old and washed up. So let me be a bounty hunter. And then he goes after Han Solo and misses a shot. And he's like, well, I'm done. Then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to do whatever and then go be a best man at somebody's wedding. And, he ends up doing that for Dengar and being a best man at his wedding.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, it's interesting to see this really cold person be like, well, I pretty much died, so I might as well do something different. So I don't know if that's the approach they're pulling from this, but they have pulled a lot from the books I've read. And that seems to be the case where we're getting a very he's just kind of worn out. And so my thoughts were that he was like, well, I want my armor back, but this guy's kind of doing the right thing with it. And then he's like, oh, crap, some other Mandalorian has it. Let me go get it now.
Yeah.
But also that wraps up. I mean, I very much enjoyed a lot of the lore bending and all that stuff. And can Dark Troopers not land a little closer to their destination? They landed dramatically far away and then slowly walked forward.
Man, they're all about the aesthetic, man. It looked cooler that way.
Yeah.
I liked the episode. I didn't think it was the worst one. I mean, I definitely gave it probably a 7.5 out of 10. I won't scale it up to an 8.
6.
I didn't sell you on any of that.
I completely agree with you, Ryan. It made sense to me. I wasn't worried about Boba Fett. Like I said, I feel like personally, and I don't even know any of the stuff that you said, that he just been through some stuff, man. He's had a lot going on around him, and it just made sense to me. Painting him as ruthless or whatever and doing all that, it's not black and white, man. He's a great character. He's got a lot of stuff going on. So it didn't bother me at all. What I'm most upset about is that Ryan said before we went into this that there's 2 episodes left. 2 episodes, man. I was really hoping there's going to be like 4. I thought they were going to scale this up to 10 episodes. So that's a little saddening. And I'm surprised.
Yeah, especially since like all of them are like under 40
I was about to say, I'm
minutes.
surprised Clint didn't say anything. This episode was like 33 minutes long.
It was the shortest in the series.
That's why you hated it so much. It wasn't anything about Boba Fett. You just looked at your watch and was like, wait, this thing just started and now it's done?
You're like, man, I put my hot pocket in the microwave and now the show's done.
No, you guys laugh, but what's funny is that I took this to work and then somebody reminded me that it dropped and I was like, oh crap, it did drop today, didn't it? And then I hit it and I pushed play and then I skipped through the credits or whatever in the beginning credits and then it ended and then of course I didn't watch like the ending credits and it was my whole lunch hour or my whole lunch half hour. And I was like, what the hell?
They were just thinking about you, Clint. They knew you were going to forget and you weren't going to have much time. So they were like, hey, man, we'll just make it so that he can watch it during his lunch break, man. Enjoy it.
Rough viewing experiences lead to rough opinions.
That's true.
And it's my opinion of Mank.
Wow. Hold that thought.
We'll get through it.
What did you think, Alex? You've been quiet over there, man.
I'm with you and Ryan. I actually enjoyed this. I think that this is probably my second favorite episode right after the first one. I think it was the conflict of Baby Yoda getting stolen and attacked,
Grogu.
which is the whole Grogu. I'm so used to that. Grogu, which, even though I said Baby Yoda, Grogu is actually kind of growing on me, the name. It's not that bad anymore. I think it's just the stun impact of it from the last week, but it's okay. Anyway, I like the episode. Boba Fett coming back. I immediately, we all knew he was back from the first episode, but it reminded me when we saw him in more flesh in this. I think Ryan is always a huge not fan of bringing people back from the dead on these types of endeavors. So, but regardless, I actually like that they brought him back. I think it's cool. And as far as his demeanor, I think, he's battle worn. He's gone through some stuff, he can totally change. It's like Kratos in God of War. He's all, I'm going to destroy everything. But now he's like, he's still angry sometimes, but he's a little bit more calm and focused and, oriented about his son. So, I kind of dug that. The thing I didn't totally, I was like, was I totally forget her name, like the sniper that was with him. That was I don't know her name.
I know the actress's name. Yeah.
Yeah, she was from episode 4 or 5 of the previous season, and she's all of a sudden alive. That's where I become like Ryan. I'm like, no, she was dead. And what is the point of bringing her back? Right. But at the same time, I kind of get it, but I still am not a fan of it. And Baby Yoda is the indirect star, maybe the direct star, depending on who you are.
Grogu
of the.
It's the child.
The green one.
The
person on Ryan's shirt. Grogu is getting is the indirect star of the show, so having him pulled away and kidnapped is effective drama. So I think it goes a long way. And I liked it, even though it's not a happy themed episode. But it's good. It's effective, and I like it. But at the same time, I'm like the rest of you. 2 more episodes, that's a load of crap. There needs to be like 5 more episodes. I'm like, this can't, the end cannot be this upcoming soon. Like, I can't wait another year for season 3.
You're gonna have to wait another year. I think we've discovered that this Mr. Favreau is more into quality over quantity, which in the grand scheme of things, we need to be content with, even though it sucks. But I think what we haven't discussed is the elephant in the room is, why does the Empire have shackles that small?
That's specious.
Nothing.
That was a bit concerning to me. I was a little unnerved by that, but whatever.
You got your Jawas, you got your little Babu Fricks, lots of little aliens. They probably have a room full of shackles. They've got big shackles, normal shackles, little shackles.
Totally forgot about Boba Frick.
Species is just little. Go get the baby shackles. Wait, the baby ones? No, they're just really small ones. The small ones for this little guy.
He's correcting himself. The baby the small ones. We don't keep babies here, man.
We don't use the baby shackles anymore. That was outlawed. We don't do that. We use
those are discontinued.
Okay, 2 things.
But I would give it my rating. I didn't say my rating. 8. I gave it an 8.
Okay, 2 things. First of all, I will admit that, like, I nerded out when Slave One came around that corner. I was like, just like in Force Awakens when the Falcon flew, I was like, yes, that is amazing. I geeked out, whatever. Second thing, Matt, when that scene came up and he was like, put shackles on him, I was like, did he just really say shackles? Like, are we really doing this? And then they pan out and he's got those little shackles on. I was like, oh, okay. That's what we're doing now, I guess.
I'm surprised they weren't like, just put him in the box. It's like a little shoebox. Just put him in there, tie it up.
Yeah, like his little crib, but for the bad guys. Like,
yeah, just like Gizmo. Just put him in a little shoebox. Fits just right in there.
Yeah, then he like ignited the dark saber in front of him, and he like held it really closely. I was like, "Are you shaving him with this? Like, what are you doing with that?" But yeah, it was okay.
I had a couple standouts for me. I really enjoyed Robert Rodriguez's direction for action.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really entertaining to watch. That might have been it. Oh yeah, no, Alex, I was going to piggyback on what you're saying. Like, I'm a little torn about bringing What's-Her-Face back. On the other hand, like, would I rather have a character that we know or a character that we don't know? Obviously, you pick a character you know.
Yeah.
So
they only had 30 minutes, man. We couldn't get enough backstory in there to introduce a new character.
Yeah, that's why we're getting Bill Burr next week.
That's true too. Although he didn't die or anything. He just got put away. Like, we're gonna put you in here. Maybe we'll use you for another episode.
I did not like that episode in season 1.
No, it's useless. It's a throwaway. Other than like one snippet of story, it's really useless.
I liked the episode. I just didn't like his character. I thought it was just very Bill Burr-esque. If that's
I thought the episode was fun. I enjoyed it.
I mean, it's fine. I'm like, it's totally unnecessary if you ask me.
Yeah. All right. Any more thoughts on chapter 14, the tragedy? All right.
Oh, we didn't talk about the fact that Mando lost his ship, but
oh, that's right. Rest in peace.
He needs a new one anyway.
Goodbye, Crest.
Didn't he just get that fixed though?
Yeah. Again.
The poor guy. Poor guy in his ship. Like, seriously.
Somebody brings him a tube of toothpaste. Hey, man, I fixed the crest for you.
Well, that just means we know what ship he's going to be flying in around now.
That's true.
Yeah.
The Millennium Falcon again. The only freaking ship in Star Wars.
The whole universe, there's only one fast ship. The Millennium Falcon.
Kessel running, 12 parsecs. All right. So then let's move on to our movie of the week. So we all watched Mank. So except for Alex, who got an hour into it and said that it was boring, which I don't really. We'll get to that. So Mank stars Gary Oldman and is directed by David Fincher, and it tells the story of Herman Mankiewicz, and he is the screenwriter for Citizen Kane, and it is basically like while he's writing it and like some flashbacks stuff that happens before he starts writing Citizen Kane and his relationship with William Randolph Hearst. So I gave this 2 ratings, and I'm going to explain why. Story-wise, this was like a 5. I'm in agreement with you, Alex. Like, this was kind of boring. There was not a lot much to it. I mean, if you don't know like what's going on at this time within Hollywood, if you don't know what's going on in the world at this time, if you don't know California politics and Mankiewicz's relationship with William Randolph Hearst, or even who William Randolph Hearst is, you are going to be completely lost. Like I even had to like remind myself who these people were and like why they were important, and try to remember what was going on in Hollywood at this time. So story-wise, I gave this kind of a 5 because there's not really much going on. Now, technically, I kind of gave this an 8 because it's filmed like in the 40s. It's like a 40s film. The pan-ins and the pan-outs, or the fades and the fade-ins and all that stuff. I mean, if you guys even notice, there's like that burn mark at the top of the film. Like every once in a while, there's that burn mark.
I thought that was actually cool.
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of neat. The sound editing was exactly the same as it would be in the 40s. You can hear like the echoes and everything inside those halls. You know, it sounded like a 40s film. It looked like a 40s film. So on that aspect, on the technical aspect, I gave this like an 8. I think that they could have done a little bit more to it and not so shiny, if that makes sense. But I liked it. So to split it, I'd probably give this like a 7. Overall. I mean, I thought there was a lot of good stuff to it. Gary Oldman was awesome in it, as always. I think they needed to give a little bit more backstory to like the conflict that he had with Orson Welles and that whole ending scene, and like why he was kind of, you know, pissy towards Orson Welles and his acceptance speech and everything, and like what the deal with that was. But I mean, other than that, like I thought like the acting and everything good. I think Amanda Seyfried needs to have like more roles too. Like she was really good with this. She needs to have more acting roles in some things. So that's it.
I think so you would say, okay, what, 5 and 8? What do you split, like 6.5?
6.5 to 7, yeah. 7.
Okay.
You brought up a lot of things. I mean, that I felt the same with this movie. Overall, I would definitely, and this is my score of the day, I think, is 7.5 out of 10. The main reason I can't scale it up is because I think the weakest point of this movie, and this is me, I think was actually Gary Oldman. We talked about how he tends to overact in a lot of his roles. I think he actually scaled back quite a bit and underacted in this role. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I didn't get the character. I kept getting off Sirius Black, Jeffrey Rush vibes every time he talked in this movie. I don't know why. I think it was kind of miscast. I mean, the character himself, I think, is only supposed to be in his late 40s, even though they look a lot older in that time period. And I kind of wish they had got someone like Matthew. Who's the guy who plays Perry Mason? What's that guy? Matthew Rhys?
Oh, Matthew Rhys, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel like somebody like that probably would have been a better choice in that role. The supporting cast was great, though. You're right. Amanda Seyfried definitely stood out. I think that was her character was written, though. She's kind of a starlet, and I think that helped her, glow in this film that has all these like kind of dull, like just sort of witty characters. She popped out. The supporting cast was great. I'll reiterate that. My favorite Lily Collins, actually made it an okay movie for once. And she did a good job in this. Not a lot was asked from her, and she delivered. I don't know the guy's name, but the guy who played Mayor for MGM, I thought did an amazing job for the role that he was given. As far as technically with this movie, this movie was Mank is almost an homage, I would say, to Citizen Kane, just by the way it was put together and the way that a lot of these cues and edits were put in the film. A lot of way the dialogue would cut off and then they would wipe and go to another scene, almost taken, I feel, directly from Citizen Kane. And the way that it's, you know, put together kind of like a circle where you're getting, you know, you have your narrative of him writing, but then you have all that backstory going to other things, very much like Citizen Kane. The biggest difference is it just didn't really have that pop at the end. And I think that was the problem with this film. And that's what made it kind of boring, is that there's nothing that was really found out that was like, oh, that's amazing, or that's interesting. Yeah. You're like, he just ended up writing the script. And at first he was like, I don't want to take credit for this because that's what I signed. But then everyone keeps telling him it's a good script. And so he's like, wait, I want credit for this. And that was the whole thing. That was the punch. I guess maybe the punch for the film or the climax is when you realize that Orson Welles isn't the smooth guy that he seems on the phone, that he's actually kind of mean sometimes. Maybe that's the character in the script too. It's not just, you know, William Randolph Hearst. It's also Orson Welles. They're both the same person in Citizen Kane. But as far as technically, like I said, it's weird when you put movies like new movies like that in black and white, especially when you want them to look like 40s films. It just looked too smooth, like you said, Clint. They needed to add some type of aging or something to it to make it look older.
Some sort of grain.
Yeah, some sort of grain, because it makes the cinematography, the black, the whites, and the grays, just seem either too dark or too white. It doesn't or blend in too well. It just doesn't hit right. I was not a fan. I understand why they did it, because they wanted it to look that way. I was not a fan of the cigarette burns in the corner. I thought they were distracting. I get it. And the one thing I hated though is I kept waiting for there to be a sound pop, like, because basically that's where splices are in reels. And if there's like a bad splice, sometimes there'll be a sound pop when it cuts, or there'll be a little jug. And there was never any of that. It was just seamlessly put together with those. And I was like, why do you even have those in there? I mean, I'm assuming maybe they put them in there, I don't know, I guess when it's shown in theaters to look right. But then again, the film didn't have any grain to it. So it would be dumb to have those cigarette burns. Plus they were like the cleanest burns I'd ever seen in a film before. They were the same shape. It's like they photoshopped the same one in every time. I'm like, it's like they kind of went half-assed when they were trying to make it look like that. But overall, 7.5. Gary Oldman was it was kind of flat for me. The supporting cast was good. The dialogue was great. I enjoyed the politics of it, and that was interesting. Like, I find all that stuff very interesting, especially all that Upton Sinclair stuff, which I knew a little bit about, but I hadn't known how it affected that movie or those studios at that time, which I thought was pretty cool. So if you go in that and you learn some stuff, yeah, it's a good film. Is it great? No. Is it good or above average? Yes. So yeah, 7.5 out of 10. And I'm done ranting. Next.
I think I have less to say than that, actually. Yeah, I was very underwhelmed. Right off the bat, I was really nitpicking the writing, actually. And Matt, you just praised the writing. It's definitely well written. Jack Fincher's no Aaron Sorkin. So it's tough to go from Fincher working with some really incredible writers who start. I mean, there's a lot of my nitpicks were based on David Fincher's other works, and there seems to be two different types of Fincher films: your slow burns and your fast talking ones. You got your Fight Club that goes quickly. You got your Seven that's slow. I think they're both wonderful. It's why I love almost every Fincher film. This was trying to be that fast talking one, and obviously this was written 20 something years ago,
right after they came.
Yeah, so obviously they didn't have that to compare it to, so I'm not trying to emulate anything, but something about it was missing, and it was because it was fast talking with all this stuff that I had no idea I was going to have to go on Wikipedia and re-look up. And it's exactly what you're saying, Clint, is I'm like, there's a difference in appropriating history into something and just assuming you know everything about the entire topic of the movie.
Right.
It's kind of made for people who specifically study that. And I find a lot of things in that time period interesting, and I did not find the story in this movie interesting. There was just such a disconnect for me, and every time I thought I got it, they would say something, and I was like, crap. I thought this and this were voting for this, and now this was voting for this, and this was voting for this, and I don't understand where anybody stands on anything. And then the movie ends. Yeah. I thought Amanda Seyfried was fantastic, and I don't think I've ever said that about a single one of her performances. I typically don't like her in anything. She's like my least favorite one in Les Mis, and Russell Crowe's in that. So that was a nice surprise. I'm hit or miss on the filmmaking. It was the cinematographer worked with Fincher on Mindhunter, and you could tell because it had all the perfect little camera moves every time somebody moved, and I adore looking at a movie like that, where if somebody moves, the camera moves with them, and you don't notice it unless you're looking for it. That is brilliant shooting, I think, and I hope they keep working together. Because the one thing I keep going back to older Fincher films and looking at, like Panic Room in the Game, is I'm like, this isn't quite as perfect as your Gone Girls and your as Gone Girl, but I think
it was pretty good.
Yeah. I think Gary Oldman's very good. If he gets an Oscar nomination, I won't complain. If he doesn't, I won't complain. I think part of that performance has to do with the fact that he so much didn't have a good experience on the set sometimes. And that's probably because they shot that ending scene at the table like 100-something times in a week. Amanda Seyfried was mad at Fincher, and Gary Oldman was mad at Fincher. And I think this probably was a big problem in making the film. There's a time, I think, when a passion project becomes a little too much of an obsession. I think that's probably what happened here. I think it could have used just a last look, somebody else to look at it and say, hey, what about this? And I think in a lot of places that would have really smoothed things over. What about this story beat here? What about trimming this or adding this or working on this performance or working on these cuts or adding some film grain or taking away? Go all in on the 40s quality or not at all of the 40s quality. You shot it in black and white. Go all in for it. There's no color version of that film that exists. So why not just make it look like it was shot in 1941? So I'm with you guys there. But I also think it was very well shot. So I'm very mixed on the film. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's score was probably the most unique I've heard from them. I want to praise that. But I also put it on to listen to while I was writing it, and I couldn't get through it. I had to turn it off and switch out something else because I don't like listening to a lot of old classic scores. I mean, some of them are great, but this was very jazzy. And
yeah,
I don't know. So it's very fitting. So I gave the movie a 7 because I thought if I give it anything lower, I'd be doing disjustice to the work that Fincher put into it. But I can't give it anything higher because it's probably my second least favorite David Fincher film. Alien 3 shouldn't even count, but it does. It's at the bottom, and it's not his fault. I wouldn't watch it again, but if it came out on Criterion Collection, I'd probably buy it. Just to have in my set.
Probably.
Alex. Well, you know when you're in school and you're doing okay throughout the semester, and then you come across an assignment and you're like, you know what, my grade is good enough, and this subject is totally kicking my butt, so I'm just not going to turn in this one assignment. It's kind of what happened here. I found this so boring. I was watching it, and I mean, and I was talking to you guys before we even started this, and I was like, I love Gary Oldman. He's fine. I don't really have anything to nitpick in anything he does, but I'm just like, there's that whole notion he does overact, and I disagree, man. I think he overacts. Like, he plays too well as a drunk, and I can't understand anything he's saying, and it's not appealing at all for me to try and keep up with what he's trying to get as far as his thought process. And I'm just like, I'm so disconnected. I don't care. I made it what did I say, 45 50 minutes into the movie, and I was just like, I can't. I'm tapping out. I'm done. The black and white style is okay. I did agree that kind of burn thing was kind of cool. Like, I'm torn, like, with that whole going with the 40s deal. the sound, like if you're also going to do it that way too, well, I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't want it to sound like that because it's hard as crap to hear. And I'm stubborn. I don't want to put on subtitles. I don't want to do it because they're distracting to me. And so if I have to, this really should be given a score of NA because I didn't really finish it. So I don't think it's fair to give it a score. But if I have to, I give it like a 2. I'd never. I just like I even said like maybe if I'm in a different state of mind, maybe I'll go back and like pile through this. But I was not in that state of mind that I needed to be. Plus, Clint, you had nailed it. I didn't know anything about the writers, the stories, the politics, the type of environment that goes on in the really, it's not even the 40s, it's the 30s, because it's the build up to that.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything. I'm this is definitely not for me. So I could not have been more disconnected from this movie. Now, if you want, I can talk about my thoughts of Casablanca later on. Now, I don't know.
Well, hold on. So the only advice that I can really give you with this, Alex, is that well, 2 things. One, with the sound, yeah, in the 40s, the sound sounds like that because like 2 people are talking and they're like this. With this movie, like it's very open. And then you have like a lot of those scenes are in like ballrooms or like grand hallways and things like that. So like the sound starts to bounce off of everything. And I can understand completely, unlike some people not like really understanding, because I had to rewind that last scene with the
dinner party.
Yeah, the dinner party scene when he's walking him out. I was like, what the hell did he just say? It's like, what is this parable that he's talking about? And I had to put on the subtitles to actually listen to what he was saying. So, but the only thing that I can suggest, Alex, is to like keep watching these 40s movies, and then you'll start to get used to it. And then that like echo, because like I said, a lot of them start to talk because there's only one mic over the both of them, like the 2 actors that are talking in the scene. So there's that one mic. And so when you get used to watching like a lot of those black and white movies, you'll start to get used to it. But with this movie, yeah, I can understand. There's a lot of times that it's just like there's a lot of background noise that mic picks up.
Yeah, and it just seemed distracting. So.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story, everyone, is put your subtitles on for every movie that you watch, please. That way you can
had to for this one.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem because at least I don't remember going, that was hard to hear because I always put the subtitles on, so I really can't comment on that. Like I said, I knew that they were talking kind of fast sometimes and kind of with that, 30s jive talk that they sometimes talk. I don't know if that's the right term, but another thing with this film is it's in black and white, and I don't know if it was just me, but a lot of these characters look the same. They all had the same haircuts and the same styles, and I'm like, and it's black and white, so you can't have any color like differentiation going on. So I'm like, wait, which one is this again? Am I gonna need to remember that one? So that was a little difficult.
The other thing was I didn't care about, like, when I finally did know what they were talking about, I was just like, who cares about this? That was just me. One plus of this was that Tyrion Lannister's in it, so that's kind of cool.
Tywin,
thank you. I always get those mixed up. Thank you. There's Peter Dinklage.
Well, I think that the movie would probably benefit a lot if like some like explanation was happening, because I mean in the beginning you get this like little snippet of like who he is, and then like you don't really have any type of like information unless you know who these people are throughout the movie. Like I think that it would be like some sort of throwaway dialogue throughout the movie would have been like, hey, we're suffering because of this, this, and this, and we're kind of like voting for this person because of this, this, and this. And it's like, oh, all right, well, that kind of makes sense. But I think, this movie is definitely made for either like film historians or like people that know what the hell is going on.
And I think that's probably why I found it more entertaining. Like I said, I wasn't bored at all with this film. I just found it flew by for me. I was really interested in exactly what was going on because I just found it fascinating. Now, I don't know how true it was, but I agree with you
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. There needed to be some exposition or some type of gimmick where these characters were introduced, because that one guy, the second guy under Mayor, the Irvin, and I can't remember his last name, who they mention a few times, and I'm like, who are you? What are you doing? Why are you so important? And he ends up
Thalberg.
like Thalberg.
Irving,
yeah.
Irving Thalberg.
And I kind of wish there had been more explanation as far as his character and who he was and what he did, but we didn't really get that with any of these people. It's like Ryan mentioned earlier, I have to go to Wikipedia and or the internet and look this stuff up to figure out who these guys are. But I found it super interesting, and I completely agree with a lot of y'all's criticisms for it.
And that makes sense because there were two movies that came to mind when I was watching this. I remember now. I know you like this, and again, this other movie that I'm about to mention is also not catered to me, because I'm just not a history guy. But The Post with Tom Hanks Hanks. Yeah, and who's the other person? Whatever.
Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep. Thank you. I just couldn't latch on because I just wasn't. It's just not it's just not for me. But if you're more, this is very more historical than anything else. So there's a market, or there's a niche, really. The other movie, even though it's not really like it much, I couldn't help though think about. And Matt, you also like this. I thought it was a little disappointing. Was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where I thought, okay, we're gonna get the kind of backstory, even though Hollywood's kind of the history is a little screwed around with.
Everything happened exactly as that movie said.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's just like I was disappointed by that movie, thinking it was going to be one way, and it just kind of didn't go that way. And I thought this was going to be a certain way, and it kind of did the same thing.
So to kind of circle around back to you, Matt, it was Arliss Howard who plays Louis B. Mayer, who is the owner of MGM. The other thing is that they name dropped like a few people that were like highly important. Like David O. Selznick, like he was name dropped, and he's actually like one of the first producers that they talked to. And Alex, if you don't know who that is, he's like a major player, like a major producer in Hollywood in the 40s and 30s and 40s. Like, he produced like Gone with the Wind. Like he produced some of Hitchcock's movies when he came over. Like he was a big deal. And if you don't know, like I said, if you don't know who he is, you're not going to understand like how important this guy was.
Mm-hmm.
And Louis B. Mayer, like he's the head of MGM at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know exactly who he was, but I pieced that together with Goldwyn Mayer.
So like even Selznick, like he like just trying to bring up some of his stuff. Like I said, he did some of Hitchcock's movies. He did David Copperfield, King Kong. It looks like. So yeah, he was kind of a big deal. So anyway, any other thoughts on Mank?
I think we can all just agree that, except for Alex, because and I'm surprised you didn't say you dropped a deuce on it, because you did.
Oh, I did.
We all thought it was good, just not great.
Yeah.
All right,
Alex, I'm with you. I do not like The Post. Anyway.
Post was
and
kind
if you.
of long.
I would
Can't
also
pick a protagonist.
I would also like to say, if somebody told me this was a David Fincher movie, I'd be like, really? Okay.
I think how it's really similar in The Post is, well, for me anyway, is that there were too many. Again, history was easily my worst subject in school, so I did not care. So there were too many people involved that I didn't know, and I had to learn, I had to retain so many new names and why they're important and what the connections were. And when you have to do so much of that and so much thinking, for me, it ruins the experience of going to a movie or watching the movie at home. And yeah.
Yay. All right. So next up is
not to spoil any fun.
So it's time for Alex watches another greatest movie. Alex, what movie did you watch this week?
I watched Casablanca.
Yay!
Yay!
It looks like we're gonna have a beautiful
And
friendship.
I'm seeing these for the first time too. You know, because I've heard of, who hasn't heard all the great quotes, but I'm seeing these for the first time. So yay! All right, let me just jump into it. The first half hour, and I again text you guys, and I said, "This is incredibly like I thought it was dull for a while. Too many people with funny accents talking about war and everything, and I'm like, okay, this is not for me. I'm gonna just push through it since this one's only an hour and 40 minutes. I'll just push
I
through.
believe the word that you were looking
right
for is
after-
world building.
I guess.
World building.
I guess. Whatever you want to call it, it wasn't for me. So get past that part and you get to the good like chunk of story that is really what the movie is about. Humphrey Bogart's being what's his character's name again? Rick. Yeah, his I liked it. You know, I don't know anything else he's in, I'm gonna be honest. And like, am I blown away by his acting? No, but you know, it's effective, and I like the story. I found myself going, you know, when what's her face said, it leaves him that letter and is like, you know, I can't be with you, you know, leave without me. Yeah, but doesn't give a reason. I'm like legitimately like, cause I didn't know that part. I didn't know anything about the story. I just knew some of the quotes, and I'm legitimately like leaned in going, okay, wait, why is she doing that? There's, you know, I'm really engaged in this. And then you learn that she had a previous husband, or a husband who she thought was dead via concentration camp, but that he somehow actually made it through. And she learned like right before she was supposed to leave with Humphrey Bogart. And it's like, what? Love triangle. I guess I should rate it higher because it's like one of the first ones in the history of cinema. So, and it's cool. It's unique because it was so early before everybody else. I look at it that way too, because this is also 1940, 41, 42? One, yes. So, it's really cool. I like the story. I liked it a lot. I liked it more than Citizen Kane. I enjoyed Citizen Kane, but it just kind of like, and see, that was the thing about Mank. Like, Citizen Kane was a little bit dull. Huh? 2?
It's 2.
It was 41?
Yeah, Ryan was right.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Because Kane was 41, right?
Yeah,
What?
see, that was the thing.
There
I
was
thought
Oz,
they both
Kane,
came out the same
Casablanca.
year.
And two of those
won.
won
Way to remember it.
Kane was in
So-
40.
He was in 40? So 39,
Maybe
40, 42. What was Best Picture winner 41?
Maybe that was Kane, but it probably came out in 40.
Kane didn't win, though.
No, it didn't win.
Well-
Green was my valley. Freaking stupid. Sorry. Go
Well,
ahead.
it was still
Kane's 41.
entertaining after the first like half hour, and then I really like, I kind of knew what was going to happen because I've seen that one airport scene or airstrip scene, whatever you want to call it, and but I didn't know entirely what would happen. So it was kind of cool. You know, not blown away by anything. You know, it is 1940s, but it is a revolutionary film in that regard. So I liked it. I gave it an 8 out of 10, and this one's different than Kane. I wouldn't want to watch Kane again, you know, like, oh man, let me jump right into that. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I'm not like diving head first into it. This one I'd be like, okay, yeah, let's throw that on. I enjoyed this a little bit more, and yeah.
My years are so thrown off. Casablanca is 1942, right? But 1944's Best Picture winner.
Huh? That's weird.
And now usually either a year off. So like Rebecca won 1941, but it was released in 1940. Casablanca and How Green Was My Valley, 1942, 41 release. I have no idea what happened with Miss Miniver in 1943 to have Casablanca win in 1944.
I smell studio shenanigans.
Studio
Did
shenanigans.
somebody say shenanigans?
Yeah. Yeah, Wizard of Oz is 39. Gone with the Wind is 39. Wizard of Oz is 39. Kane was in 41. Casablanca was 42. So Ryan was right. I'm sorry, Ryan.
Oh, you're good.
I know, and I'm not going in, sequential order as far as year goes with these. I'm just going randomly. Like next week, what did I say? Lawrence of Arabia? I have to rent that somewhere.
Arabia.
Yeah, I have to go to Arabia to rent it.
Yep. I believe Lawrence of Arabia was 1962.
Yeah, I was going to say that was a ways after.
Yep.
So Kip just posted from comicbook.com that Black Widow is rumored to remain in theaters despite Disney Plus wanting to release it on streaming.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
I thought it was funny that we had something news posted while we were doing this, so I thought I would.
Thank you, Ryan. And thank you,
Kip
Kip.
Kip gets another shout out.
Thank you, Kip.
Thank you, Kip. He's our resident Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so next week is Lawrence of Arabia. We'll see you. I'm sure you'll finish it if you start tonight by next week. So, speaking of, so we have a few things coming out next week or this week, whatever you want to say. We have The Prom by Ryan. Was it Ryan Murphy? Ryan is really shaking his head for this.
Pass. I've had enough James Corden this year already. F1 movie.
Yeah. And then Ava, which was Jessica Chastain. I think this movie actually came out earlier this year, but was only on like premium service or something like that. So this is on Netflix now.
Yeah, I've seen it. I haven't watched it, but I've seen it on Netflix. Available to watch.
Sound of Metal, which I know that you two have seen or
that?
going to see.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I know.
The metal.
Matt, I get that.
And I Am Your Woman. I kind of want to see this too.
Well, regardless if we review it or not, which we will, you guys definitely need to check out Sound of Metal, easily.
Yeah,
definitely need to watch it.
All the viewers.
So let's cut out The Prom and Ava, and let's do both of the Amazon movies that came out.
What was the other one?
I Am Your Woman. It's with Rachel Brosnan. Is that how you pronounce her last name? She's Mrs. Maisel, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Okay. Looks like it takes place in the 70s. It's like a thriller, I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar type movie. So, that sound good to you guys?
That sounds amazing.
I totally blanked out. What are we doing?
You're watching Lawrence of Arabia.
I know. That's homework enough.
You better start now so you're ready for next week.
All right.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's 3 hours and 45 minutes long.
If I just dedicated a whole afternoon to it, I can just buzz through it. But Ryan said not to.
I'd still take his advice.
That's fun, yeah.
I'd take his advice. I would do it in sections.
Or
whatever, man.
Even if you
power it.
If you want to dedicate, don't listen to Matt. If you want to dedicate an afternoon to it, watch the first half, then take a break. Take like at least a 15 to 30-minute break, and then go back to it. Take
mental break.
Take the intermission. At least watch the whole intermission if you're going to watch through it. Watch the whole intermission. It's some great music. Oscar-winning score.
Go to your thermostat, turn it up as high as it's going to go, man. Get your turtle sandbox in your living room, sit down in the sand, and just pretend you're there, man, and just enjoy.
I'm afraid he'd fall asleep in that sand.
Okay.
Immerse yourself
in Lawrence
of Arabia.
We'll see.
I feel like we should ask our group members like which movies he should start watching every week.
Because then I'll get things out of the woodworks, and I feel like I'm going to be saying a no a lot.
Alex, if it helps, I don't know if my opinion matters as far as classics go.
Of course your opinion matters.
I think Lawrence
Go for
of Arabia is better than Citizen Kane and Casablanca.
So I'm in for a treat,
I
am I?
think it's better than Casablanca. I will not say Citizen Kane.
I gave Citizen Kane and Lawrence of Arabia both 9s because I don't like to give 10s very much. They're both 9s for me. But I knew right away Lawrence of Arabia was like just a stunning movie.
Sorry, guys. I'm a hopeless romantic. I'd prefer Casablanca over both of those.
I don't know if
Because
it
I'm a
helps
huge
that
Bogey
I
fan
am
anyway,
part
so-
Arabic.
We can't disagree with you and be right.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Plus, I'm a huge Bogey fan anyway, so. Badges?
Bogey.
So, all right. So, Sound of Metal and I Am Your Woman. That sounds horrible. Those are our movies that we're sounding next week.
What a lineup.
Yeah.
Don't search those up at the same time.
And we're gonna force Ryan to watch The Prom, even though he doesn't want to.
I am not watching The Prom. I have already.
Oh, I thought you said the prong. Like,
Prom.
Or what about The Prawn?
That was
Well,
what about LeBron?
Project Power. Didn't he have like the ability of a prawn in Project Power or something?
Oh yeah, that was his super
Something like
special.
that.
Oh,
ability.
yeah.
yeah.
He had the power of a shrimp.
Though the prom does have Nicole Kidman and Meryl Streep in it, I believe.
Meryl Streep is not incentive for me.
No.
Ryan's like, that is bad salesmanship.
Oh,
Oh.
poor Meryl.
Not a fan. She shows up and she does the same thing and she gets an Oscar nomination.
It's because she's a classy lady, Ryan. You need to recognize that.
Yeah, recognize.
Ryan's like, I don't recognize her unless she's a devil and she's wearing Prada.
That's probably my favorite Meryl Streep performance.
Well, see, at least you recognize that.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I can't. She's fine in a lot of things, but then she's just herself in the post, and she got an Oscar nomination, and then she showed up for Ricky and the Flash and almost got an Oscar nomination, and that movie made no money. Nobody saw it. Why
God,
give her
I
an Oscar
forgot
nomination?
that existed.
And then just anyway. I just rant about something every week. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I don't like
we're
Meryl
gonna start a new segment. What is Ryan's rant this week?
And Ryan, you got too many segments, man. You've been ruining things. You've been ranting about things.
No, we forgot about that. Ryan ruins Clint's childhood.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Ugh.
And that was Clint's favorite childhood actress, Meryl Streep. Thanks, man.
I'm gonna feel bad if it was, but I don't like it.
Yeah. He's like, man, don't you ruin Kramer versus Kramer for me.
She's all right. She's pretty good in Kramer vs. Kramer. That's a really great performance.
I prefer
And Sophie's
Sophie's
Choice. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't care. She just shows up in everything, and she's the same thing in everything. And the Oscars are like, I love her.
I think you just hate that she just gets nominated every year for whatever.
I
she's
do.
at.
I do. It's minimal effort for maximum achievement when that could go to other people who don't have 27 Oscar nominations or however the heck many she has. It's like if Roger Deakins wasn't a good cinematographer sometimes, but he still got nominations for everything.
They should just open the nominations up. I mean, they're nominating like 10 films. Let's just nominate 10 people in every category.
They should just have like a little bracket, like a little sidecar for their motorcycle for Meryl Streep. They should have one for score for John Williams. John Williams, I love John Williams, but he does some really bare minimum score work sometimes and gets Oscar nominations. And I'm like, did you guys ever listen to the soundtrack for The Book Thief? It's really boring. It's 90 minutes of just slow piano music, and then there's that one snowball fight where it's kind of fun. Oscar nomination.
Oh,
Anyway. All right. Well, then until next week, guys. We'll see you later.
later.